Walking into a grocery store these days, it feels less like running an errand and more like trying to navigate a literal minefield.
Oh, absolutely. It really does.
Right. You pick up a piece of fruit and suddenly you are staring at it, wondering if you're holding a sugar grenade.
Yeah, or you reach for a zero-calorie drink and you just feel this wave of guilt.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like you're casually sipping on radioactive waste right there in aisle 4. It is just an absolute minefield of anxiety.
It's exhausting. Every single thing in the cart seems to carry this heavy, toxic moral weight now.
It really does. But today we are clearing that minefield. Welcome to today's deep dive. And if you are listening to this, yes, you are in the perfect place.
We have some fantastic material to go through today.
We do. We have our hands on this fascinating foundational document called the Fitness Knowledge Base Module 1. And our mission for this deep dive is to act as your personal fitness and science friends. We are going to cut through the relentless noise and dismantle the 4 most heavily demonized food topics in the wellness industry: sugar, artificial sweeteners, fruit, and dairy.
And we're going to do this by focusing purely on the clinical data, the actual underlying biological mechanisms.
No hype, just facts.
Right. The goal is to synthesize how human metabolism genuinely functions in the real world, not relying on what a social media influencer claims is happening to your body just to generate outrage.
What to get views, yeah.
Exactly. The level of panic surrounding these everyday foods, it really requires a calm, evidence-based approach. Because the physiological data is remarkably clear, but the public narrative we all hear every day is just incredibly muddied and driven by fear.
Well, I am so ready to throw away the dense academic jargon and just figure out how this stuff actually works. Whether you're a 10-year veteran in the gym or you are just someone trying to eat a little bit better without feeling, entirely overwhelmed by dietary dread, this deep dive is custom tailored for you.
It really is. So where are we starting?
Let's start with the ultimate fitness villain, the big boss, sugar.
Ah, yes. The classic scapegoat.
Right. The source material highlights this modern moral panic surrounding sugar, detailing how it's been branded as the singular root cause of all metabolic decline.
People genuinely believe that too.
They do. People legitimately believe that consuming a single gram of sugar will instantly spike your insulin, completely shut down your body's ability to burn fat, and aggressively force your body to store visceral fat. I read these claims online, and I start to believe that my body is just a fragile machine waiting to be broken by a single candy bar.
And it is a highly persuasive narrative, mainly because it gives us a simple enemy to blame for a very complex health issue.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I am trying to wrap my head around it. The clean eating movement tells us that if we eat good, pure foods, we won't gain weight.
Right, which is a massive oversimplification.
So I was thinking about it in financial terms earlier. Tell me if this makes sense. If I go out and spend $5,000 on a beautiful, ethically sourced, organic, reclaimed wood dining table, I am still $5,000 in debt.
That is a great way to look at it.
The credit card company doesn't care that the purchase was clean. So isn't metabolism operating the same way? The source says eating clean food in a caloric surplus inevitably results in fat gain anyway.
That analogy captures the reality of thermodynamics perfectly. What's fascinating here is human metabolism does not operate under a system of moral judgments.
So my stomach isn't judging my candy bar.
No, your digestive system doesn't look at a molecule of sucrose, declare it evil, and decide to store it as fat immediately out of spite. The fundamental mechanism here is energy balance.
Okay, energy balance.
Right. A calorie is simply a unit of energy. The currency of the human body is energy. If you take in more energy than you expend, your body has to do something with that excess currency.
It has to put it somewhere.
Exactly. It stores it as adipose tissue, or fat. Obesity and type 2 diabetes are driven by a chronic caloric surplus and a sedentary lifestyle, not the isolated consumption of sucrose.
That feels like a massive weight lifted off my shoulders.
It should. The clinical evidence is definitive on this. You can lose weight eating sugar if you are in a caloric deficit. The debt goes down regardless of whether the dollars came from a pristine organic avocado or a handful of gummy bears.
Wow. Okay, but I have to push back on the physiological side of things for a second. What about the infamous sugar crash?
The crash, yeah.
People swear by this. I mean, I've felt it. You eat a candy bar, you get a massive buzzing high, and then 3 hours later, you inevitably crash into a wall and feel exhausted.
It feels very real in the moment, I know.
Plus, there's this pervasive idea that sugar creates a literal chemical dependency. Like your cells are addicted to it the same way someone might be addicted to illicit drugs.
Let's look at the clinical reality of the addiction model presented in our source.
Hmm.
The biological mechanisms tell a very different story. That perceived high and the inevitable crash. They are largely psychological and behavioral responses.
Wait, really? Not a blood sugar thing.
Not for the average person, no. Unless someone is a diagnosed diabetic, the human body is incredibly efficient at regulating blood glucose.
So what's actually happening when I eat the candy bar?
When you eat it, your pancreas releases insulin to usher that glucose into your cells. It does this smoothly. The exhaustion you feel later is often related to the context. Maybe you ate the candy bar because you were already sleep deprived,
Oh, guilty as charged.
right? Or you're stressed, or experiencing a normal mid-afternoon circadian dip. It is not a massive involuntary blood sugar swing causing a severe crash.
So it's not a chemical withdrawal. What about the addiction part, though? Because I definitely feel a compulsion to eat sweet things.
Eating sugar absolutely releases dopamine, which is the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. But here's the thing. Dopamine signaling happens with any highly palatable food.
Like savory foods, too.
Exactly. You get a massive dopamine hit from a high-fat, savory slice of pizza or a perfectly cooked, salty French fry.
Oh, true. I definitely do.
The text clarifies that what we casually call sugar addiction is actually a deeply ingrained behavioral habit. It is driven by hyper-palatability, meaning the food is engineered to taste incredibly good. That, along with extreme availability and emotional eating.
So it's a behavioral habit, not a physiological chemical dependency like hard drugs.
That is the key distinction.
Huh.
Removing illicit substances causes severe physiological withdrawal because the body's baseline is altered. With sugar, the struggle is about our food environment and our emotional coping mechanisms, not a chemical dependency on the sucrose molecule itself.
Okay, so if people are terrified of sugar, they naturally look for alternatives, right, to break the calorie loop. Which brings us to the next massive minefield. Non-caloric sweeteners.
The alternative health advocate's favorite target.
Right. We were talking about aspartame, sucralose, acesulfame, potassium. You run away from sugar to save calories, but then people scream that these alternative sweeteners are even more toxic.
It is the ultimate catch-22 of modern diet culture.
But wait, I've heard this a million times. Don't fake sugars completely confuse your body's insulin signaling? And don't they destroy your gut microbiome and paradoxically make you gain weight anyway?
I'm so glad you brought this up. Let's dismantle this with the long-term human data. Sweeteners are actually among the most thoroughly researched substances in human history.
Seriously, the most research.
Yes, we rely on decades of large-scale epidemiological data and randomized controlled trials, or RCTs, and they consistently confirm their safety.
But what about the insulin confusion thing?
Yeah. The idea that tasting sweetness triggers a massive metabolic cascade is called the cephalic phase insulin response.
Yeah.
But human data shows this response is incredibly minimal and transient. Your pancreas doesn't recklessly dump insulin based purely on taste.
So my metabolism doesn't break if there's no real sugar.
No, doesn't break. And regarding the toxicity claims, the source highlights a staggering specific detail. To reach toxic thresholds, a human would have to consume dozens of cans of diet soda every single day for years.
Dozens of cans every single day.
Every single day.
The sheer volume of liquid would probably make me sick long before the sweetener did. So what does this all mean for the listener who just wants a Diet Coke?
It means diet soda is actually a crucial psychological bridge for fat loss. Think about the why here.
Okay.
It gives you the sweet taste, it activates the brain's reward centers, but it adds 0 liquid calories to your daily total. This significantly improves long-term dietary adherence and consistency when someone is trying to maintain a caloric deficit.
Okay, so artificial sweetness is a safe tool. It gives you a psychological win without the energetic cost. But what about natural sweetness? Somehow, literal nature's candy got caught in the crossfire of this diet war.
Yes, the fruit phobia phenomena.
It's wild. It seems born straight out of extreme keto and low-carb trends. The claim that terrifies people is that fructose goes straight to the liver and converts directly into visceral fat.
Which is the inflammatory fat around your organ.
Right. But equating drinking a giant 32-ounce cup of high-fructose corn syrup to eating a whole apple, it feels like comparing a fire hose to a drip irrigation system. Doesn't the packaging of the fruit change how our body handles it?
I absolutely love that analogy. The fire hose versus the drip irrigation. If we connect this to the bigger picture, The scientific flaw of fruit phobia is ignoring the whole food
The
matrix.
matrix, right, because it's not just sugar water.
Exactly. Whole fruits come naturally packed with dietary fiber, water, micronutrients, and bioflavonoids. And that fiber is crucial. It drastically slows down gastric emptying and digestion.
It acts as a physical barrier.
Yes. Because absorption is gradual, the human liver easily handles modest amounts of fructose from whole fruit with zero adverse metabolic effects. There is no visceral fat accumulation from eating an apple.
It's a slow drip, not a tidal wave. Plus, just practically speaking, due to the high volume and water content, voluntary overeating of whole fruit is incredibly difficult.
Try binging on apples.
Right, if I handed you a huge soda, you could chug it in seconds, but you'd have to sit down and chew through like 6 whole apples to get the same amount of sugar. I dare anyone to binge eat 6 apples without feeling painfully full.
It is nearly impossible. Liquid calories bypass our mechanical satiation signals, but whole fruit triggers them perfectly.
Okay, it seems like any food group that tastes good just gets demonized. We've covered all the sweet stuff, but what about savory staples? Let's talk about milk and dairy.
Dairy. The backlash here is severe.
It really is. The claims are that milk is naturally unnatural, that it causes chronic inflammation, creates an acidic environment in the body, and this is the craziest one to me, actually leaches calcium from human bones.
Yes, the acidic environment myth.
The idea that a glass of milk can turn my entire body acidic sounds wild. Isn't the human body more like a highly advanced locked thermostat? Like, it doesn't just permanently break its temperature setting because you opened a window for 5 minutes?
That is exactly right. Modern nephrology and bone biology have thoroughly debunked the acidic environment myth. The body maintains strict blood pH homeostasis regardless of what you eat.
So my blood doesn't turn to acid from a piece of cheese.
No. If your blood pH changed significantly from eating dairy, you would be in the intensive care unit. Your kidneys and lungs constantly regulate that balance.
So the idea that milk is dissolving my skeleton is a myth. What does dairy actually do for bone health?
Contrary to the myth, clinical research shows dairy is a highly bioavailable source of calcium and high-quality protein, and they work synergistically.
Synergistically.
How so? The protein provides the structural matrix of the bone, while the calcium provides the mineral density. They work together to maintain bone mineral density and mitigate osteoporosis, especially in aging populations.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, especially for our listeners who are plant-based or lactose intolerant. If they can't have dairy, can they just eat a bunch of spinach and get the same calcium?
This is where careful planning is a necessity, because anti-nutrients like oxalates and phytates, which are found in many plants, actually reduce plant calcium bioavailability.
Wait, they actively block the calcium?
Yes. Spinach is very high in oxalates, meaning very little of its calcium is actually absorbed by your body.
Oh, wow. So what are the exact alternatives from the source material?
The source lists low oxalate greens as a great option. Things like bok choy, kale, and broccoli.
Okay, kale and broccoli.
Also, fruitified products are essential. Soy, almond, or oat milk, and tofu set with calcium sulfate. And finally, seeds and nuts like chia, tahini, and almonds.
So it's totally manageable, you just need the right roadmap. I think that brings us full circle today. We have walked through the sugar scapegoat, the artificial sweetener panic, the fruit phobia, and the dairy controversy.
It is a lot to process.
It is, but the overarching theme across all these fitness myths is that context and dosage matter infinitely more than fear. Human metabolism is robust, and understanding the science frees you from toxic dietary anxiety.
It does. It really frees you. And synthesizing all this raises an important question for you to mull over.
Oh, I love these. Lay it on us.
If the science shows that sugar addiction isn't a chemical dependency, but rather a behavioral habit driven by the hyper-palatability and sheer availability of food, how much of our daily struggle with dieting is actually just an environmental design problem in our own kitchens, rather than a lack of biological willpower?
Wow. If it's an environmental design problem, that changes everything. You aren't fighting your biology, you just need to reorganize your pantry.
Exactly. It's a very empowering shift in perspective.
That is a powerful thought to leave you all with. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. The next time you are walking through that grocery store, remember, you have a map now. Keep questioning the hype, keep following the science, and we'll catch you on the next one.